we'll start with Mr. Barrett, please, for 6 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
Sir, I see that you're in the same lawyer's boardroom as your partner was yesterday. You're with the same legal counsel, is that correct?
Correct.
Are you able to ask your lawyer at what time Mr. Firth will fulfill his promise to this committee to have tabled 100% of the information that we requested by 9 a.m., a time that he agreed to? Can you tell us, maybe confer with your lawyer and get us that answer?
I'm not going to discuss my discussions with my lawyer.
At what time will the information that has been requested by a partner of your company be furnished to this committee?
I'm not aware. I don't know.
You don't know. Well, some of that information was requested 16 months ago, and there was an undertaking made then. And yesterday, I told your partner I didn't believe him, that he would provide it this morning, and he said that that was, you know, of course he'd provide it. That wasn't the case, but he proved me right. Your partner yesterday also said that everybody was lying, except for him and you. Said that the Auditor General was lying, the Procurement Ombudsman, the Globe and Mail, the National Post, even the CBC, Global News, all of us. So he offered no proof to that effect. And while we did offer proof that he lied to this committee, like I just did, when in terms of proof, by your partner not having furnished this committee with the evidence that he undertook to by 9 a.m. Do you agree with Mr. Firth that the Auditor General's report is incorrect?
I would refer to his testimony in regards to the numbers that we were able to supply to the Auditor General.
So was the Auditor General's report correct or incorrect in your assessment?
Incorrect.
So the Auditor General of Canada is wrong, and you are right. That's your contention today.
Yes.
If you had the opportunity to see the testimony of your partner yesterday, you'd see why I find that incredibly hard to believe, because, you know, frankly, it hasn't been credible, your company's testimony to our committee. Last week, government officials announced that files concerning your company, GCstrategies' role and involvement in Justin Trudeau's $60 million ArriveScam have been sent to the RCMP. Now, you've said that your role is a security expert for the company. Which information do you think was sent to the RCMP? Would it be information about forged resumes by your company, involvement in bait and switch procurement, as outlined by the Procurement Ombudsman, or bid rigging? What's the information that you believe has been forwarded to the RCMP?
I have no idea.
Your partner, Mr. Firth, refused to say who provided testimonials on your website 16 months ago and has failed to provide them this morning. Is your testimony this morning that you are also unaware who provided the testimonials on your website?
Yes, I am unaware of who provided the testimonies.
So you don't know who the Chief Information Officer was of Canada who provided. There's only 6 quotes on your website, and you're saying that you don't know who the Chief Data Officer for the public sector was who provided that.
Yes, that's correct.
You're saying you don't know who the Chief Data Officer for Canada was who provided an endorsement of your company on your website.
Yes, that's correct.
You're saying that the Vice President of a major Crown corporation, who that individual is a mystery to you.
That's correct.
And the senior executive from the Government of Canada, you don't know who that was.
That's correct.
So though your partner appeared at this committee 16 months ago and was asked that very same question, it didn't raise any curiosity in you, and it never came up in conversation. Will you say today that you never discussed that committee appearance and the questions that were asked with your partner? Is that your testimony today under oath?
Can you clarify the question on what? You actually clarify the question for me.
The question is, when your partner came here 16 months ago and was asked that question and said he was going to come back and provide the information to the committee and appeared before a parliamentary committee, I would say it didn't go very well. Is your testimony today that you and he didn't discuss the information that he said he was going to provide back to the committee?
We discuss files and contracts generally, but not specifics.
Are the endorsements on your website fake, like the resumes that were provided in order to win government contracts?
I have no idea.
It seems, sir, that this is just part of the scam that's being perpetrated by your company on the government of Canada and Canadian taxpayers. We'll have more questions for you.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. Mr. Brock, go ahead, please, for 5.
Thank you, Chair. Like my NDP colleague, sir, I'm completely astonished of your complete lack of preparation for this committee hearing. You start off in your opening statement talking about how you and Mr. Firth have been wrongly portrayed in media, newsprint, committee hearings, MP, word on the street. You talk about the financial stresses, the emotional stresses, and you don't have any concrete answer to clearly relevant questions. You very proudly stated that you stand behind the words of your partner, Mr. Firth, that the Auditor General's report was completely inaccurate. How on earth could you have prepared any less for this hearing by not taking 20 minutes to read the actual report? I find it absolutely astonishing, sir, and quite frankly, it reflects very poorly on your credibility. So I want to ask you some questions for clarification. Are you in a partnership with Firth, or are you a director in a company registered either through the Canada Corporations Act or the Ontario Corporations Act? What is it?
We are partners.
Do you have a partnership agreement? Yes or no?
Just can I confirm with my lawyer for 1 second, please?
Yep, go ahead, just mute yourself.
Sorry. We are a corporation, and I am a shareholder for that corporation.
So you're not in a partnership. You may refer to yourself as partners, but you don't have a legal partnership agreement, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you are a director, and you didn't understand that directors have joint and several liability, meaning that you're both responsible for consequences of the acts of directors. You're aware of that now, sir?
I don't believe that to be true.
Okay. Well, you can check with your lawyer on that. Mr. Firth has put it out there in real evidence that he has committed, not on one occasion, but on multiple occasions, acts of forgery that would be defined as a criminal act under the Criminal Code of Canada. He claims it was a mistake. And as a former prosecutor, pretty much every single accused that I dealt with in the last 20 plus years always claimed they made mistakes. You understand, sir, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You understand that?
Sure.
So if Mr. Firth was willing to do that, but I'm talking about the Bottler complaint, on at least 4 or 5 occasions, without consulting, without getting approval, without getting clearance from Bottler to change the actual resume to ensure they received a contract. It really begs the question, how many times has your 50-50 partner, director, Mr. Firth, done that on other contracts? Do you have an answer to that?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
No, because what he does is up to him and what you do is up to you, correct? Is that your understanding?
Yes.
I see. Now, who was responsible for your web design on your website that probably fraudulently identifies several key government employees boasting about the value of your company? Who was responsible for creating this web design?
I'm not sure. I believe that we did hire out someone to build our website for us in 2015.
Okay, who was the company?
I don't have that information in front of me right now.
You'll supply the information to us?
Yeah, I can check my records.
Okay, and in addition to Mr. Barrett's questions to you, you will also provide to me by, I'm going to give you 7 days to do this, sir, the names of all the government employees that are referenced in your website boasting about your particular company. You'll do that because you didn't have the answer as to who they were, but in 7 days you'll provide me with that information, won't you?
I can try and find that information for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Berthaud, please go ahead, sir. Welcome to OGGO, or welcome back to OGGO.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chair. Just to be sure that I understood you well, a while ago you said you had not read the auditor. Mr. Chair, Mr. Berthaud's sound is very poor. The interpretation will improve.
Comme ça?
Oui. Go ahead.
Donc, Monsieur Anthony, vous dites que vous...
Mr. Anthony, you said you had not read the AG's report, a report that was devastating for GCstrategies. And because of that report, GCstrategies no longer has a contract with the government of Canada, and you want us to believe that?
Yes.
Monsieur Anthony, c'était...
Mr. Anthony, that's very surprising. As the person in charge of security, did you take part in falsifying the CVs of subcontractors of GCstrategies to make sure that GCstrategies obtain contracts from the federal government?
Can you clarify the question?
Avez-vous...
Did you participate in falsifying or forging the CVs of subcontractors to help GCstrategies obtain contracts from the federal government? Yes or no?
No.
Reconnaissez-vous que votre...
Do you admit that your associate did so?
No.
Alors, comment se fait...
So how come the CVs of subcontractors of GCstrategies are not a true reflection of the CVs of subcontractors? And that's why we're undermining your security. It's undermining your security. The questions were put to you about the cottage on documents, meetings with public servants.
I have no knowledge of that.
Est-ce que vous estimez...
Do you feel that your associate or partner told us the entire truth? Were you present with him in the room where you are right now?
Can you ask the question again, please?
Est-ce que...
Do you feel that your partner told us the whole truth yesterday? Yes or no?
Yes.
Est-ce que vous étiez...
Were you present with him in the room where you are right now when he was giving his testimony?
No, I was not.
Est-ce que vous avez regardé le...
Did you watch your partner's testimony?
I watched pieces of his testimony.
Alors, comment pouvez-vous affirmer...
How can you say with all certainty that he did not lie? Once again, it's very difficult. Your partner called everyone a liar, And now I find your testimony so far very unbelievable. Did you receive contracts from the government since 2015? What was the amount of the contracts you received since 2015 from the federal government?
How many contracts have we received since 2015? Is that the
How
question?
much money did you receive personally? Combien d'argent avez-vous reçu personnellement?
How much money have you personally received from the federal government?
I don't have those figures with me right now.
Est-ce que vous vous engagez à les fournir au comité?
Can you commit to send us to send the information to the committee, Mr. Anthony?
Sure.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire en même temps
Could you also tell us how much money you personally withdrew from the contract, the ArriveCAN contract?
I can look. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Est-ce que vous vous engagez à fournir?
Can you also provide the committee with those amounts as well?
Vous savez,
Because, Mr. Anthony, you know the committee can demand that you produce them. We could oblige you to provide all that information. Will you willingly commit to send that information to the committee?
Can someone check my translation? I'm getting some serious echo here. I can't. It's overlap. I'm hearing from the minister and then my translator. I can't quite pick it out.
Okay, well, we are out of time for Mr. Berthold. Mrs. Block, please go ahead for 5.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Anthony, the Auditor General found that GCstrategies was involved in the development of a contract from the Government of Canada valued at $25 million that your firm received in May of 2022. Now, I know you've tried to build a bit of a firewall between your contracts and Mr. Firth's contracts in saying that they are separate. But it is my understanding in your role as the Chief Security Officer that you provide him with support when it comes to security assessments. Is that correct?
With regards to security assessments?
Yes.
Yes.
So in setting the criteria for the contracts for that GCstrategies ultimately won, did you provide any advice to Mr. Firth on the security requirements for that contract?
No.
Why not? If that's your role at GCstrategies, why would you not have provided him with any advice on that?
I was not asked.
So you only provide advice when you're asked? It's not a given that in your role as the Chief Security Officer, you would be providing that support?
Yes, I only give knowledge when asked.
As a 50-50 partner, do you receive 50% of the commission that is earned on Mr. Firth's contracts?
At GCstrategies, we share in the profits, yes.
Share in the profits, but not in providing advice when it's actually your job to do so. Okay, I get that. I guess maybe I don't. In your role, you would identify resources, vet them, and then notify Mr. Firth on the eligibility of the subcontractors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would Mr. Firth ever ask you to change anything?
No.
Would you ever notify him of any discrepancies or any wrongdoing?
Absolutely.
Did you have to in the past?
Never.
Okay. Would he ever ask you to overlook anything?
No.
Okay. I'm not going to refer to the Auditor General's report. That's the one that you and Mr. Firth are disputing, but you have admitted you haven't read yet. And I'm turning to page 18. And in the Auditor General's report, she identifies some issues with security clearance and some task authorizations for GCstrategies. And I'll just quote it for you. The Canada Border Services Agency issued 2 task authorizations for cybersecurity assessments of the application under 2 of the GCstrategies contracts valued at approximately $743,000. The task authorizations required that the resources have a reliability security status. And what the Auditor General found is that security assessments were completed for ArriveCAN in a pre-development environment by subcontractors under GCstrategies. However, they found that some resources that were involved in the security assessments were not identified in the task authorizations and did not receive security clearance. In addition, the agency received invoices for resources listed on the task authorizations. However, it was unable to provide any supporting documentation to confirm that work related to the security assessments was performed by 4 of the 5 resources listed. Wouldn't that be part of your job?
All of the resources that we provided under those contracts had security clearance.
So you're once again disputing the Auditor General's report in regards to what she found.
What I can tell you is that all GCstrategies resources that worked on the contract had security clearance.
So, again, the Auditor General found that the agency was unable to provide any supporting documentation to confirm that work related to the security assessments was performed by 4 out of the 5 resources listed. So that's a pretty high percentage of no documentation to confirm that security assessments were conducted. I would suggest, sir, that you read the Auditor General's report before you actually dispute what's in it, and that perhaps, again, as a director or a 50-50 partner in this company, you would seek to understand some of the allegations that are being levied against your company. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Block. Mr. Genwis, for 5 minutes, please, sir.
Mr. Anthony, you really had me at I didn't read the Auditor General's report. Now, this report was tabled more than a month ago. Your company has faced grievous consequences, which you have described because of this report. You've been required to testify in large part because of the findings in this report. And this report is feeding into an RCMP investigation that could result in criminal charges against your long-term business partner and against you. Mr. Anthony, this report is merely 36 pages. And at no point did you think, maybe I should read this thing.
No, I did not.
Mr. Anthony, why are you lying to this committee?
I'm not lying to this committee. I swore an oath.
You did, sir. What do you think you have to gain by claiming that you didn't read the Auditor General's report?
I have nothing to gain.
Why are you making this claim when it's clearly not true?
It is true.
Sir, how much time did you spend preparing for this hearing today?
Not a whole lot.
Roughly, though. How much time did you spend preparing for this hearing?
A couple of hours.
A couple hours. Okay. And you didn't think as part of that preparation, you should read the Auditor General's report?
It was against my doctor's wishes for me to be working. I have not been working since the start of December. We sent our doctor's notes. He's advised us not to work.
Your doctor advised you not to read the Auditor General's report?
No, he said he'd advised me not to work to lower my stress.
Okay, sir. In the couple hours you spent preparing, you didn't read the Auditor General's report, and you came here and you told us you disputed its findings based on what Christian Firth had told you.
Yes.
Mr. Anthony, I don't believe you, first of all. But secondly, I have a hard time making sense of your motivations. Mr. Firth is under a serious cloud of suspicion, suspicion involving events that you claim you don't have any knowledge about. With that in mind, are you committed to standing by Mr. Firth and believing everything he tells you, regardless of what this investigation reveals?
I've known Christian Firth since 2007. We've been business partners since 2015. He's honest, trustworthy, hardworking man and a parent. I have no doubt that he's done nothing wrong. I'm confident all independent investigation will establish that.
Were you reading what you just said, sir, or were you speaking from the heart?
Speaking from the heart.
Sir, I don't even know what to say. This is so ridiculous, sir. Like, is it not obviously ridiculous to you? You've come before this committee. You've been summoned here. You would have been arrested by the Sergeant at Arms if you hadn't shown up. And you're telling us you did 2 hours of prep. You didn't read the Auditor General's report, and you're committed to standing by everything Mr. Firth tells you, even though you had allegedly no involvement in the events that could lead to criminal charges. Like this, is this what is happening? Mr. Anthony, one other question in the time I have left. What is your relationship with David Yao? Do you know him? Do you have conversations with him?
I've never had a conversation with him. I don't know him.
Okay. You are supposed to manage security processes for the company. Have you ever, in the course of your time working for Christian Firth, provided any pushback or raised concerns about things he suggested in terms of contracts, contractors, processes, or have you not?
I have not.
So you affirm, approve, rubber stamp the things that Mr. Firth provides you.
I don't approve things that he. I'm not sure where what the question is.
This is a strange partnership.
Yeah, that is our time, Mr. Generous. Mr. Bear, please go ahead, sir.
Numbered company. What is it?
Pardon me?
You have a numbered company. What is the company?
I don't see how that's relevant.
Well, first of all, it's relevant because I've asked. It's also important that we have an understanding of your business dealings. And I've asked the question, and you're obligated to answer it. The numbered company, sir.
The numbered company owns my shares.
The numbered company owns your shares. Is it registered in Canada?
Yes.
And is Christian Firth a part of this numbered company?
No.
And the shares that you're referring to are in GCstrategies?
Yes.
Does it hold shares in any other company?
No.
Do you have any business abroad? And do you own any interests in companies outside of Canada?
No.
Do you know if Christian Firth has any businesses outside of Canada?
No.
No businesses? Sorry, you don't know, or he doesn't have them?
I don't know.
So you're the Chief Security Officer of GCstrategies. Can you testify that the ArriveCAN app was totally secure and the data that was collected was totally secure?
I have no knowledge of that.
Are you the Chief Security Officer for GCstrategies?
Yes.
Did GCstrategies work on ArriveCAN?
Yes.
So the Auditor General says that your company was paid nearly $20 million on a $60 million project, and you don't have any knowledge of it as one of two people in a two-person company, and your role specifically is Chief Security Officer of GCstrategies, and your testimony is that you have no knowledge of the security of the data that was collected and if it was secure.
The security data that I collected is secure.
What is the data that you collected?
People's personal information, and could be passports.
So are you talking about
Citizenships.
are you talking about the users of the app, or are you talking about contractors on the app?
Contractors on the app.
But you have no idea about where ArriveCAN data was stored as the Chief Security Officer for GCstrategies.
Absolutely not.
Do you know if anyone outside of Canada worked on the app?
I have no knowledge of that.
Would you say you did more or less work than Christian Firth on ArriveCAN?
Less.
So he said he did about 10 hours a week. So you did less than 10 hours a week for $1.25 million?
I work full time. I don't work by the hour.
So on this contract, your partner said that he worked 40 hours per month to earn $2.5 million, of which you say you share 50% of that. So the question is about work on this app. I'm looking to find out. You said you worked less than Mr. Firth did, and he said he worked for what works out to less than 10 hours a week. So that's accurate for you as well on ArriveCAN.
I did not work on the app.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that with your company, that you gentlemen were paid. You were made millionaires by Canadians, and you didn't do any actual work on Justin Trudeau's $60 million ArriveScam, and you've come here today and you have no answers. You expressed that you were concerned about the impact this has on your other business. I think that the people who've contracted you to do business would be concerned as well after seeing your inability to actually articulate what it is that your company does and how you exercise your role as Chief Security Officer.
Thanks, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Brock, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Anthony, does it concern you that Mr. Firth actively engaged in acts of fraud and forgery in relation to the Butler contract? And furthermore, his evidence at committee that it was a standard practice of his to take a look at various resumes with other contracts and to match it to the requirements set out by the government. Does it that to me, as a former prosecutor, just spells out another word for criminality. So on a personal level, sir, does it concern you that your partner has been engaged in criminal acts, yes or no?
I don't think he did.
So you are defending his actions, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Are you defending his actions, sir? Are you saying that
Yes.
what he did with respect to Bottler, changing their resumes without their consent and doing that same sort of practice with other contractors was entirely acceptable by your standards?
I don't think he did that.
He said he did. So that's fine. You're defending him. I have you on record. That's an important point that perhaps you want to discuss with your counsel. Now, you'll have to forgive me as well, sir, that in your opening statement, you wanted the public to have some sympathy for the situation that your company, the Government of Canada Strategies, is now facing in terms of the financial hardship. But according to public accounts data, Government of Canada Strategies has received $59 million in federal funding from all federal departments combined since 2017. So if we take your commission value of 15% at the lowest all the way to 30% at the highest, that means you and Firth, since 2017, over the last 7 years, received $8.85 million at the 15% mark, or upwards to $17.7 million at the highest mark. That's roughly $4.4 million to you, sir, upwards to $8.8 million. Now, in light of Justin Trudeau's just very poor fiscal policies that he's adopted since 2015 and the affordability crisis that Canadians are facing, you will probably understand that no Canadian has any sympathy for you, sir, in the situation you're in, because that amount of money is something that's almost akin to winning the taxpayer lottery. So I'm not asking for a response, but I want you to consider that, sir, that you have been rewarded very handsomely at the backs of Canadian taxpayers. Now, last line of questioning. What did you actually do in the grand total of 2 hours to prepare for this meeting, aside from talking to Christian Firth? What did you do? What did you review?
I've reviewed my own contracts.
Did you think that someone at this committee would be asking about your contracts with the Government of Canada?
That's all I know.
That's all you know. You don't know anything about your partner's involvement with the Government of Canada and all the allegations against him? You didn't think there'd be other questions related to your involvement with Christian Firth?
Well, I figured there would be questions related to Christian Firth. I was surprised.
Did Christian Firth tell you what to say today, sir?
Not at all.
Do you always believe what Mr. Firth says to you?
I trust him, yes.
Do you always believe what he says to you?
I trust him, yes.
Yes. So if he said to you, and I guess he did say to you, I disagree with the Auditor General's report, you took that at face value without conducting any independent investigation on your own. I often tell my 14-year-old twin daughters, if you're going to do what friends say you're going to do, are you going to jump off a bridge if a friend tells you to do that as well? Do you ever push back on your business acquaintance or business partner, Mr. Firth?
Have I ever pushed back?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And in this particular case, you didn't think a very explosive document by an auditor who's been in the business of auditing for decades, and you have no auditing experience, do you?
No.
No. And Firth has no auditing experience. Right?
I don't think so, no.
So if Firth says we disagree with everything that she has said, you will always accept that at face value.
Well, he has knowledge.
He has knowledge.
Thanks, Mr. Block. We're going to go to Mr. Brock, and then we'll go to Mr. Genuis and Mr. Shawari to finish, and then the Block NDP. Go ahead, Mr. Brock.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Anthony, do you currently have, or have you had in the past, any relatives working with the Government of Canada?
No.
All right. You'd agree with me, sir. I'm going to ask you a number of rapid-fire questions. You'd agree with me, sir, that Christian Firth really is the sole public face of Government of Canada Strategies?
No.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Sousa.
I don't believe it's called Government of Canada GCstrategies.
Order.
I think that's the name of
No.
the company.
Yeah, it's
We've
not a-
already resolved
Yeah, it's
that.
not a point of order, Mr. Sousa, but thanks. Mr. Brock, continue, sir.
Are you a public face?
I might be now.
You probably are. Yeah, that's a good observation. But you'd agree with me that Mr. Firth was front and center during the rollout of the ArriveScam app over the last several years. It wasn't you, it was Mr. Firth, correct?
He was the face for ArriveCAN, yes.
Yes. He was the one that held all the relationships with the bureaucrats and government officials such as deputy ministers and ministers, not you, correct?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
He was the one that was whining and dining potential contractors with government officials. That wasn't you, correct?
That wasn't me.
No. Literally everything to do with the ArriveCAN scam was flowed directly through Christian Firth. It had no DNA of you on it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I was not involved.
Right. So we heard yesterday from Christian Firth that not only yesterday, but in previous testimony, that he's quite proud of the ArriveCAN scam. Are you equally proud?
Yes, I'm proud of the work that we were able to deliver.
Are you proud of the end result?
Which end result are you referring to?
The end result that resulted in extremely long delays at the borders, chaos and confusion at airports, the faulty, glitchy part of the app that resulted in the illegal detention of 10,000 Canadians. Are you proud of those facts, Mr. Anthony? Yes or no?
I have no knowledge of that.
Come on, Mr. Anthony. You read papers, you watch the news. Were you living under a rock for the last 3 years? Did you not experience the frustrations that millions of Canadians had at airports, border crossings? You want this committee to believe this lie that you have no knowledge of those basic facts? Come on. No one believes you. I certainly don't believe you. Do you think Canadians got value for their money for the ArriveCAN scam?
We were asked to do a job for a price, and we did it.
A price that was originally estimated at $80,000 that was multiplied 750 times to around $60 million. Is that, sir, value for the money?
I have no knowledge of that.
Of course you don't. You were completely unable to answer relevant questions from numerous members of this committee. Will you ultimately answer questions that are put to you by the RCMP?
If the RCMP reaches out, I will cooperate with them.
Thank you. Those are my questions, Chair.
Thank you. We now go to back to regular order. Mr. Genuis, please, for 5, and then Mr. Jouari, and then Mrs. Vignola and Mr. Backrack. Go ahead, Mr. Genuis.
Thank you, Chair, Mr. Anthony. Bottler executives have testified that Christian Firth, your partner, bragged about having dirt on his friends who were senior government contracting officials. Has Mr. Firth ever told you that he has dirt on anyone?
No.
Does Mr. Firth have any dirt on you?
No.
And you're nonetheless prepared to continue to defend him in spite of everything you've heard today?
Yes.
Do you intend to read the Auditor General's report? after this meeting's over?
No,
Why not?
because the damage has already been done for me. It does not affect me.
Sir, you began your opening statement by talking about how much it affected you. Anyway, we've been over this ground before. Mr. Anthony, one of my colleagues had been asking you about meetings with Mr. Firth. Did you discuss your testimony today with Mr. Firth?
No,
Did he participate in any of your preparatory activities?
no.
Okay. You did say, and the record will show that in response to questions from Mr. Backrack, you said you were, in terms of time spent on responding to the suspension, you said you hadn't discussed it because you were focused on these committee meetings. Did you not say that?
I did say that.
Okay, so you just admitted to me that in your discussions with Mr. Firth, you were focused on these committee meetings. At the same time, 30 seconds previously.
No, that's not what I meant when I said that.
Well, what
I
did
did.
you mean?
I had no discussions with Mr. Firth about this committee meeting. When Mr.
Okay, but you were nonetheless focused on the committee meetings in your discussions with him.
No, I did not say that.
All right, so I think the record will show that you said many things that you didn't say, and I hope you do actually read the Auditor General's report, which you no doubt have already read.